Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight in news, DNA leaders released from police custody. Royal Caribbean resuming cruises from the Bahamas in June. And a construction worker killed during a home invasion. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, leader of the Democratic National Alliance, Orinthia Komolafe, and 10 other members of her party walked out of Central Police Station to singing and cheers this afternoon after being questioned by police for 5 hours. The decision to take the DNA members into custody 3 weeks after a protest in Rawson Square sparking outrage among many Bahamians. Giorgio Bain reports.
Scores of Democratic National Alliance supporters joined by political activists lined East Street just in front of the Central Police Station Monday morning as they awaited further information on the detention of DNA leader Orinthia Komolafe. This as the police station remains under heavy guard by several police officers. DNA leader Orinthia Komolafe exited Central Police Station to a crowd of cheering supporters and family members, including her husband and mother, 5 hours after she and several other DNA members were escorted inside by police for questioning. The morning started with this live video on the DNA's Facebook page.
We have been summoned for questioning regarding political action.
Scores of DNA supporters started to gather outside of the police station, shouting, "Let them go."
This is crazy. Let Bahamians go. We do not live in a military state.
2 hours later, police press liaison Audley Peters sought to answer questions on why the group was being held.
On Wednesday, the 3rd of March 2021, a matter was brought to the attention of the police that warranted an investigation. And as a result of that investigation, Ms. Komolafe was invited to the Central Police Station. She acquiesced to the invitation and brought along with her a number of persons in her organization. She's now assisting the police with the investigations into this matter.
An emotional Emmanuel Komolafe, the husband of the DNA leader, attempted to get answers from police, stating that his daughters were shaken up by the arrest of their mother.
We said she's just coming in to answer questions. Imagine my shock when she comes out a couple of minutes later and the officer says she has been arrested.
Do your kids
she's
know
under arrest.
Do your kids know that she's under arrest?
I'll say this because listen. My daughter was crying this morning.
PLP MP Glenys Hannah Martin, Centerville MP Reese Chipman, and former opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner condemned the decision to hold the DNA leader and members of her party for questioning in connection with the March 3rd demonstration in Rawson Square.
The fact that she's a woman cannot be overlooked. It's something that me as a woman identifies with very, very instantly. But I think that there is a deeper issue here, and it's the issue in which political power is being exercised in a way that's very questionable, and that I am wondering if they're trying to crush the spirit of the Bahamian people.
It has to be victimization of the highest order. We are Bahamians, we are equal, but they have selected the only, well, not the only, one of the female-led political organizations, and to take the leader. This is a disrespect to women, Bahamian women everywhere today.
You have a freedom of assembly in this country. As long as you are not causing a disturbance according to our Constitution, it is here.
When she finally exited the station hours later, Komolafe had no complaints about how she and members of her party were treated, but she did insist that she believes that the instructions for her arrest came from a higher power and that there is gender bias at play.
I don't know if you've ever heard in the history of this country where a male leader of a political party has been arrested for expressing their voice. This is a first in our country. We have had 4 prime ministers. They have all been male. And Dr. Minnis himself was a part of a protest in 2016 with the We March, and Dr. Minnis was never brought in for questioning to our knowledge. He was also a part of the protest on Paradise Island where there was actually destruction to property, and to our recollection, Dr. Minnis was not brought in for questioning. So, of course, I cannot disagree with Ms. Loretta Butler Turner that there has to be some level of gender bias in this entire situation.
Reporting for our news, I'm Georgia Bain.
Well, moments after the DNA release, Police Commissioner Paul Roll held a news conference and sought to explain exactly what transpired and why party leaders were taken into custody nearly 3 weeks after that protest. He insists there is nothing political about this matter. Bethany McDermott has that angle.
Police Commissioner Paul Roll shooting down claims that the decision to question the DNA leader and 10 other party members over a demonstration on March 3rd was politically motivated.
There's nothing political. And I want to say clearly, Commissioner Paul Roll made the determination to take the action which was done today. There's nothing political about this. The Commissioner of Police answers to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I do not take instructions from politicians.
Roll explained that the demonstration was an unlawful assembly, adding that the group attempted to gain access to the House of Assembly while it was in session. ASP Audley Peters told reporters Monday morning that the group taken into custody consisted of 11 persons, but the police chief said his list only consisted of 9. The group was initially brought in for questioning, then placed under arrest, which the police commissioner said isn't unusual. Well, the police commissioner also sought to explain why it took officers 3 weeks to bring these persons in for questioning.
I have a year. I'm saying Parliament was still meeting, and I didn't wish to interfere with that. So that's really all there is to it. There's nothing political about it. I don't know, and I don't see colors. So whether it's red, yellow, or green, everybody is treated the same.
Roll added it's not impossible for persons to be taken into custody weeks after an offense is committed. He said these matters are considered misdemeanors and could result in a fine or time in prison. He also responded to critics who say it was an effort to silence organizations like the DNA.
Not at all, because we have not done anything to prevent Ms. Kamala Faye from getting her message out. And I encourage persons to get their message out. What we simply say is to do it right. You see, you can't block up the whole city.
Roll said investigations into this matter should conclude in a few days. He said the decision on whether DNA members will be arraigned in court rests solely in his hands. Over the weekend, the PLP and the FNM had large crowds during walkabouts in various constituencies, despite the fact the emergency powers prohibits large gatherings. When pressed on the matter today, Roll said this.
I mean, I haven't seen it. And so, other than I've heard persons saying that they were complying with the emergency orders. Okay? And if you're aware of something, then let me know.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Well, 1 year after the cruise industry took a massive hit, Nassau will become the home port of a Royal Caribbean cruise ship set to sail into several family islands. Kyle Joaquin has the story.
The Minister of Tourism praising this announcement as a big boost for the country's tourism product, especially after a rough year, saying this couldn't come at a better time. In just 2 days, visitors can begin booking tickets for a Royal Caribbean cruise aboard Adventure of the Seas departing Nassau in June. It comes as COVID-19 vaccines are rolled out around the world after a year of little to no cruise ship activity. Royal Caribbean President and CEO Michael Bailey says Nassau will serve as the home port for the region, with the 7-day cruise making stops to Grand Bahama, Coco Key in the Berry Islands, and Cozumel, Mexico. However, the cruise line is making it mandatory that all crew and passengers over 18 show proof of being vaccinated for COVID-19, in addition to taking a RT-PCR test.
So they're vaccinated and fully vaccinated, and they will also be required to take a PCR test. So our crew will be vaccinated, and our crew will be tested on a regular basis.
Royal Caribbean expects its first cruise from its new home port to set sail June 12th. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has hailed the announcement as a truly new day for tourism. Bailey says June through September is the current deployment schedule. Based on how well this goes, it could be the start of something new.
I think it could be the beginning of something quite interesting and quite exciting and new. And we're going to have to see. And this is exactly the same way we introduce new products globally all of the time. We believe there is a lot of demand in this situation, pent-up demand.
Cruise ship passengers have not sailed through the Bahamas for a year now, leaving downtown Nassau a ghost town. But with Nassau as the new home port, it means tourists will have to fly into New Providence to board the ship. Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar singing RCI's praises, saying with the ship stopping in Grand Bahama and Coco Key as well, more jobs will become available once again.
It means even more of our citizens across our family islands can get back to work, and our vital tourism sector can continue surging towards recovery. There is no doubt that this partnership will have an enormous impact and help reignite our economy.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In other news, a 55-year-old construction worker was gunned down after two assailants broke into his home with a crowbar this morning. Family members are convinced the killers got the wrong person. Jared Higgs has the details.
The man who was gunned down in a home invasion on Wilson Track on Monday morning is 55-year-old Carlos Brown, according to his wife. Family members could be heard crying as ASP Audley Peters told reporters what transpired.
Male was at his home when persons knocked on the door, and as he attempted to open, the door was pried open and he received a single shot to the head. Emergency medical services visited the scene and examined the body and pronounced it lifeless.
Family members say those gunmen came to the single-story home, which shares a yard with several families, at around 5 a.m. In an attempt to gain entry, relatives say the killers claimed they were police officers. The man's brother-in-law, Derek Festa, is convinced that Brown wasn't the intended target.
From all indication, I know this is a mistaken of identity. Because Carlos is an individual. He goes to work, come back home, and I could stand here. He has no sweetheart. He has no enemies. I talking about whatsoever, no enemies.
Other family members describe Brown as sweet, kind, hardworking, and a good father. His son is a standout track athlete. The father of two, who was a construction worker, was known for being community-minded and often helped people in the area.
All it is come home, I stand on that table there sometime, he'll clean fish, and when he clean fish, I talking about, he go in those, he fry a fish, everybody in the yard, he make sure everybody eat. He go in his house on Sunday, he cook. When he finish cooking, whoever is inside the yard, don't care who they is, they ask for a plate of food, they get a plate of food, and that's how we are inside this yard. So I know it's a mistaken identity.
Hours before Brown was killed, police reported that a man was shot while visiting his girlfriend in the Wilson Track area. As he ran for cover, he received a wound to the head and is currently hospitalized. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Thanks, Jared. Well, beautiful sunny skies in the capital today. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with our current conditions.
Thanks, Christina. Our first look at weather tonight is being brought to you by Ports International for all your medical supplies and your equipment needs. Warm day around the islands. We have that frontal boundary out to the east of us, but cooler temperatures this evening, 73 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Variable winds at 5 to 10 knots and your field slight temperature in the low 70s. Satellite view around the area. We have a low pressure system trying to take shape across the northern Bahamas. That's pumping in some of that tropical moisture across the area. Weak frontal boundary out to the east of us, generating some isolated showers and thunderstorms across the central Bahamas. But we expect those conditions to continue to wane as the evening goes on. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, Royal Caribbean moving ahead with the Grand Lucayan sale. That and more when Our News returns.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
As the FNM and PLP ramp up their campaigns, PLP leader Philip Davis says the Prime Minister is dancing around a definitive election date while trying to ambush the opposition with a snap election. Jasmine Brown reports.
The PLP leader says he believes the Prime Minister is playing games when it comes to the date for the next general election. However, he says the PLP is ready.
I think he's looking for an ambush. That's all we can say. He's trying to ambush the opposition. Well, we are ready for an ambush. and our flanks are fortified.
Davis spoke to reporters outside PLP headquarters as he and other members of the party, including former Prime Minister Perry Christie, laid a wreath to mark the 91st birthday of former PM Sir Lyndon Pinling. Last month, while speaking in the House of Assembly, Minnis jokingly said that if parliamentarians are ready, he'd ring the bell. And earlier this month, Dr. Minnis told reporters that his advice to individuals who are speculating about an early election is to continue to observe. Well, Davis says they're doing just that and insisted the FNM's actions are speaking louder than the PM's words.
Suffice it to say, again, it is a hypocrisy. Say one thing and do another. I will not listen to what he's saying. I'll just watch what he's doing. He's campaigning. If the election is going to be next year, would his campaigning, his efforts be as intense as they appear to be at this time?
Talk of an early election has been rampant in recent weeks as both the PLP and FNM have ramped up campaigning. This past weekend, both Davis and Minnis participated in political events that attracted large crowds. Both parties have been slammed for hosting political events in the middle of a pandemic. Davis responded to the criticism.
The difficulty with gatherings is that you don't intend to have gatherings, but people are attracted to events. And as much as you would try to contain it, it's very difficult to contain crowds. What we attempt always to do is any crowd that comes to an event, we ensure that they all are wearing masks. And we have a sort of a marshal in our groupings to ensure that they keep socially distanced. That's what we are doing at this time. It's difficult to manage the crowds.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Royal Caribbean International President Michael Bailey says the company is continuing its plans to purchase the Grand Lucayan Resort on Grand Bahama. Last March, the government signed a heads of agreement for the sale of the resort to Holistica, a joint company of Royal Caribbean and the ITM Group, to redevelop the property and construct a new cruise port. Bailey says RCI remains committed and an announcement will be made soon.
We are continuing with the project. It did get delayed, naturally, but our intention is to move ahead with the Grand Lucayan project. And I believe that announcements or further announcements will be coming shortly. We're very excited about the future of Grand Lucayan and Freeport. We see this as a huge tourism attraction destination.
Still to come, a single mother of three appealing for help in her battle with cancer, plus local runners back on track. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. A single mother of three is appealing for help in raising funds for her cancer treatment. Jillian Gray has that.
A cancerous spinal mass has plagued Tiffany Burrows for the past year, causing her immense pain.
I can't sleep at night. At night I don't sleep. I cannot sleep. I toss and I turn and just due to the pain. Tossing and turning. Trying to deal with myself. I barely can even, I barely can do stuff for myself.
The hairstylist by trade has not worked since last year and says she's been misdiagnosed 3 times. When she received the news that she has stage 4 cancer, Burrows says she was speechless.
From last year, February, up and down, up and down, up and down to the hospital. Nobody could really tell me what my problem was.
Her tumultuous experience locally made her look abroad for a second opinion on her treatment. The Bimini native says she's grateful for the support she's received thus far, but she has a long road ahead and is appealing for financial assistance. The hardest part of this has been being away from her kids, ages 2, 4, and 6, while in hospital.
Just the fact that I was dealing with this so long, like the situation could have resolved a long time.
With thousands already owed at PMH and Doctors Hospital, Barrows is appealing for help in raising $100,000 to cover her medical bills and further treatment. PLP candidate for Golden Gates, Pia Glover Roll, says as a mother and someone who's been bedridden because of a spinal issue, she feels Barrows is pain. She's joining in the fight to help her raise funds for her treatment.
We are pleading for support for Tiffany because every day counts, and it's important that we not only get her the treatment, but that we save her life.
No, basically I'm just generally crying out to the public. $1 can help. $1 can help. I just asking for help because of the fact that I actually, like she said, like every day, it's getting worse.
Donations can be made to Barrows' GoFundMe page or at Commonwealth Bank at Tiffany E. Barrows, account number 71600233996. Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Tonight in sports, Kai Jones and Texas eliminated in the NCAA tournament. Marcellus Hall has the details.
All right, thanks, Christina. Welcome to our Sports on a Monday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. It was a busy weekend for Bahamian sports, and one of the things we were looking out for was Kai Jones and the Texas Longhorns. They got their first play in the NCAA tournament, going up against a lower seed, looking to see if they could pull off a win. It should have been an easy one, but turns out easy is not always what it seems. Kai Jones, Texas Longhorns, playing in the NCAA tournament. Longhorns a 3 seed, facing 14-seeded Abilene Christian. Underdog Wildcats not intimidated in the least, despite the fact that Texas had the lead 28-25 at the half. Second half, that saw the Longhorns unable to take control of the contest. It would come right down to clutch free throws by Abilene Christian's Joe Pleasant. He knocks them both down. That gives Abilene Christian a 1-point lead. Texas, last chance, but the pass picked off by Pleasant. They hold on for the win, 53-52. Kai, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks in a loss. Longhorn season comes to an end. Still with hoops, DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns taking on the shorthanded LA Lakers. DeAndre with a solid night, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block shot in this one. He played 32 minutes on the floor. Suns moving back into second in the Western Conference. They get the win, 111-94. Their next game tomorrow night when they face off against the Miami Heat. And track and field here in New Providence on Saturday as the Red Line Track Classic taking place at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Pretty good turnout for the event, which featured a number of different events being contested. They featured different age groups, including the long jump and the 400 meters for boys and girls. And there it is. You look at sports here on this Monday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Ahead on our news, the PLP celebrates Sir Lyndon Pindling on his birthday. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Conditions are looking pretty good for the rest of the week. Greg is back in the Weather Center to tell us more.
Thanks again, Christina. Our second look at weather tonight is being brought to you by 7 Seas, distributed by Nassau Agency. Satellite view around the area, frontal boundary to the east of the islands, weakening, generating a couple of showers across the central Bahamas, but we have 2 lows, one just across the northern Bahamas and another one just off northeastern Florida, pumping in some of that tropical moisture across the area, so we will continue to see some clouds, some showers through tomorrow, but we expect conditions to start warming up as the week goes on. Boating conditions for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds are going to fall off light and variable tonight, but they will be variable at 5 to 10 knots through tomorrow. Seas 1 to 3 feet with some lingering swells. While in the southeast Bahamas, east to southeasterly flow 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet with those swells still occurring down there as well. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Saturday. That's a look at our weather. Have a great Monday evening, everybody. Christina?
Thanks, Greg. Well, senior members of the PLP holding a wreath-laying ceremony this morning, paying tribute to former Prime Minister Sir Lyndon Pinling on what would have been his 91st birthday. Among them was party leader Philip Davis.
We gather here today in front of this memorial built to honor all of our party's freedom fighters. We lay this wreath in a symbolic gesture to a man who gave so much for this country and to this country. We must never forget him. He was born on the 22nd of March, 1930, in a Bahamas far different than the one that he left behind.
Pinling, who served as Prime Minister from 1967 to 1992, guided the Bahamas to independence in 1973 and is widely considered to be the father of the nation. He won re-election 5 times, including 1968, 1972, 1977, 1982, and 1987. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas. A new episode of On the Front Line starts right now.